I wanted to ask you about just how has jiu-jitsu impacted your life both personally and professionally?
So for personally, I think that, everybody kind of says, jiu-jitsu is their therapy, right?
Yeah.
I want to say that is that definitely is my therapy, but I will tell you that it's a family, it's almost like a extension of my family, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just me when I'm looking at punishing the kids or something like that, you know what I mean, or they need to act up, or they're acting up or something like that. I've got Coach Tarsus, I've got Coach Anderson, Coach Larissa, who are like, hey, I heard you didn't do well, or you got upset at school or something like that, so you have a village,
Yeah,
what I
really.
mean? And so that's kind of the feeling that I have. I think everybody knows my kids, everybody knows my wife, whenever they're at the gym, or even, because my wife doesn't train.
Okay.
But when she gets there, it's like people talk to her. She has, they know about her, she knows about them, things like that. And so that was more of more of a community that I got from jiu-jitsu outside of just the health benefits. And that's obviously the main thing. The main thing was the health. Now, for being a lawyer, I think how it helps me is to be a lawyer, you have to be really focused on strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to know, not only what arguments you're bringing, but you also got to know the other side and how to kind of counter something that they're going to argue against you. And it's more planning. It's more game planning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I've kind of figured out from jiu-jitsu as well. It's like jiu-jitsu is kind of like chess. You can't just jump right into it. You know what I mean? You have to map out. Let me map out a transition, or before I start moving for this grip, what is the next step that I want with that? Those kinds of things. And there was a book that my professor had recommended to me, and he said, "Look, this is a sports book, but a lot of business owners use this, right? Because it gives you a mindset of how you should handle day to day." And I think it's like the mindset of champions, something like that. Obviously, champions type thing, mindset, And so, but the book is about all these super athletes, Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth, all these different names, where they're kind of trying to find out how did they set themselves aside, apart from other pro athletes, right?
Yeah.
And one of the main things I got from that was most guys like Kobe, Michael Jordan, all these guys, they don't think about the championship or the win. They're thinking about, no, at this game, I want to hit this many free throws. I want to hit these many assists. If I do this, that, and a third, then we'll win. But they look at it a breakdown, point by point. And I learned that was the same thing in jiu-jitsu. My first few competitions, I was getting my butt whipped.
I'm sure.
And it was because I didn't have a game plan. Then when I got a game plan, it was like, it wasn't as intricate. It was just like, here's the takedown I want, here's the transition, maybe I'll get this sub. But now, like as I continue doing it, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Now you need this grip before you even switch to this side or whatever.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Point by point. So now when I'm in matches, I can see from that very first, you're grabbing that collar. Now I need to know, all right, what other grip, what other thing, and that's the same thing with law. It's like, look, if I'm going to make this argument, all right, I've got to understand that I'm not going to win just off of that. What would be the counter to what the defense is going to say? They're going to claim that my client was at fault. Well, what are some of the case law that kind of says that this is not their fault, or that there's a primary party that is responsible, those kinds of things.